Part recording is just it's an already discussed topic only. We have created data on that day.
Yes, yes.
So to record
Earlier
is for
videos are
upload.
already there, right? Live.
Yeah, it's already there.
Okay, so this is our orders table, which is looking
Yes,
nice, and this is our users table, which is also looking nice,
yes,
and this is, and then user, and then third is products. Okay, products. Okay, cool. This is also nice, right? Now there are something that we require. There are multiple queries that we will see how it works, but
okay,
there are some basic queries that one should know, and today's class will also be based on just showing you, I mean, what is required for which thing, right? Because we
okay.
are able to see this data right now, right? These three
Yeah,
tables. Now
yes,
we will require multiple items from these tables. Sometimes we
okay,
will require a data from a single table. Sometimes we might require data from different tables, and
okay,
there might be a chance that sometimes we require data from different tables, but from the third table we require the data again. And
okay,
we will see, I mean, we are not going to dive deep, but we will
okay.
see how we check the number of data that we are getting from a specific table. I mean, how much time it's taking right now, and what's the internal logic the database is using, right? So see,
Okay.
the very basic item, if I want to know that how much, that okay, I want to, like, see, select star from public user is just normal query, right?
Yeah,
Over here
normal.
we are doing nothing, we are just want to see all the database records that we have in our system, right? And when I
Yes,
use this terminal, then I get the number of rows that is it there, it is returning, right?
yeah,
But right now, if I want that, I just require just number of rows, I don't want data. And why
yeah,
I want only data, right? I mean, when
yeah,
I'm doing this also, then also I'm getting 6 rows, right?
yeah,
So
yes, yes,
what I'm, this counts the asterisk. Uh, Over here we are just writing asterisk, right? So
yes,
it
yes,
means give me, RDMS is relational database management system, right?
yes,
And we are learning RDMS. So relation database management system follows the ACID properties. We haven't discussed
yes,
in this regard till
yes,
now,
yes,
but I'm sure that you must have heard of it somewhere, right? ACID
yes,
properties is something we will dive deep into that, because that's the thing
yes,
that a developer should know. At least a good developer should know. So
yes,
ACID
yes,
properties and the CAP theorem. We are not going to cover the CAP theorem because it's a part of NoSQL database, right? So we are just over here to know about the RDMS only, because we are using Hibernate in Spring. So over there we are just going to use the annotations, and we are not going to dive deep into the database part because we are doing that right now.
okay,
So the thing is with RDMS is relation database, and the relation is saved in terms of rows, right?
yes,
So asterisk means give me everything, and because it is RDMS, so everything will be give me everything from the table, right?
table,
This is table,
okay,
and we are not writing table before because it's not a DDL query, right? It's a
yes,
DML query. So give me everything from this particular thing, right? And it's
yes,
not like that it should be a table only. It can be a sequence or a
you,
view. Great. See,
yeah,
it can be a view or a table or a
uh,
sequence.
sequence,
So give me everything from whatever I am writing over here, right? So
yes,
asterisk means give me everything, and what a table
everything,
view or asterisk, I mean, in RDMS everything is saved in the terms of rows. So that's why
rows,
when
yes,
we say give me everything, then RDMS saves everything in terms of rows, so we get number of rows only, right? So
yes,
right now when I say give me everything, I get rows, right? I get this
yes,
n number of rows.
and number
But
of rows,
when I'll say the command, let me just copy and paste this instead of writing new
yes,
one. Just let me copy paste this, right? Copy paste, same answer, right? And
yeah,
I'll say okay, when you are giving me everything, and that is rows, right?
yeah,
So asterisk means give me every row, right? In from
yeah,
public users. So right now I'm
yes,
saying okay, don't give me every row, just give me data. Give me the number
yeah,
of rows that you are going to return me, right? And
yeah,
why this I'm saying that okay, give me just number of rows you are going to return me. The reason for this, I mean, this thing is also doing, right? This thing is also working fine. I can count, then I can count, okay, 1 2 3 4 5
1, 2,
6
3,
5
4,
6
5,
rows are there,
6,
right? Not over here. ID is created by us. Now this thing can be different. We need to count, okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 rows are there, right? So it's
yes,
not like we are not want to compute thing, because it's a very less operation, right?
yeah,
Counting 1 to n, it's an n operation, and it's cool with the backend systems. But the thing
yeah,
is, the main issue is with this data, when we only want the number of rows or number of data we have in our system, or the number of users we have in our system. So the issue is we will get a lot of data that will travel over the network,
yeah,
right? So
Okay. Yeah.
how the system flows, I mean, why I'm just telling you why this count query is required. The thing is, over here is the user, right? And
Yeah.
over here is your server,
Yeah.
and then you have your database. Cool.
Yes.
So what happens that when your user creates a query and hit to the server, and then server hits to the database, right? So your server
Yeah.
is responsible to process data, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
user, what user do, it generate request, right?
Yeah.
It generate request, and process data is the task of server, and database provides data, right?
Data.
Provides data, right? Database
Yeah.
is used to provide data only. Then what happens, that if this database will give you some data, and it will give the data use with via, okay, cool, again I think, okay, when I try to talk, my this is my server, right?
Yes.
When I'm
Yes.
trying to talk to my server, then what's happening behind the scene, how they are communicating,
You,
or how this user is communicating to the server.
yeah. Generally, from the application, we will raise the request, bro.
Yes.
Request, and the server will receive the request, and it will transfer to database, and and
Very,
it will.
very, very great. But remove the, forget about the database right now. Okay,
Yeah.
let's forget the database also, or
Yeah.
forget the user also, right? Because we are doing things with the
Okay.
database, because we are going to cover that part in Spring Boot course as well.
Yeah. Okay.
So right now, see how they will communicate from your server, whether you use Hibernate or you use JDBC. You will
Yeah.
you will give some queries, right, to the database.
Yes.
Then how will it, and then database will give you some data back, right? How this thing is possible, I mean, what's the thing behind the scenes, what's the thing that is happening?
Based on our queries.
Okay, how your query is going from your server, see your server is having some different domain name, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
There
Okay.
might be a chance your server is in the Mumbai region and your database is in the Pune region, right?
Yeah. Okay.
And let's say Hyderabad, this is in the Pune region database, and server is in Hyderabad region, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
server will call to your database in the Pune region, right? From Hyderabad to the Pune, the one request will go, right?
Yes.
So it's not like they are connected. They are, database is also a server. That's why you must
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
seen that database server is written, right?
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And when I am doing this thing, when I try to log in, my database server is always active.
Yeah.
In my
Yeah.
local system. That's why when I write PSQL minus u user,
Yeah.
it takes a request, right, directly. So
Yeah.
what happens when I write PSQL minus u and users, or what happens when I will hit this thing?
Yes.
It will be converted into, it will be serialized and converted into the binary format, right?
Yeah.
But before that, what will happen, that this server will try to connect a TCP connection with the database. You must have heard of TCP.
No. No.
Okay, transfer control protocol. Arey yaar,
ECP. Okay. Okay.
not from IT, right? Again,
Yeah.
okay, cool. I mean, it's not like everyone is aware of these things, but the thing is, if you were from the IT background, it will be way easier to you to know, to
Yeah.
to understand. So again, we are
Yeah.
not going to dive deep into the TCP protocol. It's like, and it's not even important. It's like, the super deep item, how the things are working internally. So, and not super deep, average deep. Okay, so the thing is, the server will talk to the database, right? But
Yes.
first, I mean, they I mean, the database required, what's the very first thing, what are the things that we discussed in the very first class, why we require database, right? Database management
Yes.
system. DBMS, RDMS is relation database management system, but it is a DMS, right? Database management system.
Yeah.
NoSQL is also a database management system. So
Yeah.
every DMS, every database management systems require authentication, right? We
Yes.
When we talked in the very first class, when we were giving when I was giving an overview that why we require database management system, then over
Yeah.
there we find a thing, right, that anyone can come and read my file, whatever I'm text
Yes.
file, and
Yeah.
everyone can update it, right? So
Yes.
I need some constraint that some user can only view and some user can only update. So those things
Yes.
also we'll see in the later classes how we can achieve that. But the thing that I am doing, authentication versus authorization, you are already aware of those answers, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
the first thing I need to do is the authentication, right?
Yes.
And for authentication also I need to transfer data, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So before that, what's required? It's the, it's a setup of IP addresses, right? That I should have my IP address correct, right?
Yes, yes.
So the database will have the database server should be up and running, right? One requirement. Then the
Yes.
server should be up and running, right? Second requirement. These two
Ye-
things should be up and running properly. And
Yes.
then the server should have the address of the database, right? Whether it's an
Okay.
IP address or direct, if I mean DNS name, whatever it has, then both will work, right? Whether it's a domain name
Yes.
or anything will work. Then this server will hit the database and will say that hi database server, I write this server. Okay, it's also called server to server call.
Yeah, okay.
So this server, what will happen, this my server, let's say it's a microservice one. My microservice one will hit the database server, right? And it must
Yeah.
have the database location, right?
Yeah.
So and then what will happen, then when my server will have the database location, it will, and then for authentication is required, right? Otherwise it won't be able to get any data. So
Yes,
when
yes.
my database makes a query to the database server, first thing is that it should have the data that where I need to hit the query, right? There might be 100 servers, right?
Yes, yes.
I mean 100 thousands of servers should be out there, and out of which we should know, right, where we need to make a query. And post
Yeah.
making a query, then we will handshake, because this server needs to pass data, right, for authentication.
Yes,
When I
yes.
do ps PSQL and then minus UN user, after that I, and Postgres I also write, right? So the name of the Postgres is the name of my user. So I'm passing the
Yes.
data, right, by using the queries. So that data
Yes.
to pass, one needs to have a connection, TCP connection. So
Okay.
TCP is a protocol where we handshake and then do items, and it's a three-way protocol and all those things. We're not going to dive deep into that. But what happens internally is this server should have the address of this server, and then
Okay.
it will make connection to that in TCP. TCP port is opened, and it will
No.
remain open until this server hits until one of the servers closes the connection. And the connection can be closed, first thing is that this server needs to send the data, right? To transfer data,
Yes.
TCP connection is required.
Yes.
Very less protocols are there to transfer the data, TCP, UDP, and there are a few more. So I'm not going to dive deep into that right now. So what happens to transfer data? TCP is required, right? For TCP,
Yes.
one needs the address. So the server
Yes.
will send the, okay, there is a address that I have. I want to make a TCP connection. Then the database will respond, okay, cool, let's handshake. So there's a terminology of handshake. Then
Yeah.
they will handshake, and then the server knows, okay, server will tell, okay, I want to send data, okay, and this will say, okay, let's handshake. Then the required request will go over here, then the server will start passing the data, right? And to close the
Okay.
TCP connection, one needs to close the data, right? Whether either will be it's a server and other it will be the database, right?
Yeah.
And now again some things that one requires, we will, okay, so today we are just going to talk about this only. So what
Okay.
will happen, this thing is important because the thing is, you will see what I was doing over here, right? In a few
Yes.
minutes earlier, what I was doing over here was the same thing. I was making sure that my server time is high, right? Okay, let me show
Okay.
you the give. Okay, shit, error I have removed. Earlier the error that I got was that my server closed the connection. What was
Okay.
happening, that there was my one server, and instead of database server it can be a normal server as well, right? So this was my company server that my local system was acting as a server, right? And then this was the
Okay.
company server. So company server did not respond till 30 seconds. So I have
Okay.
written that if this server does, if this server 2 does not respond within 30 seconds, then close the connection on your own, right? Because
Okay.
there's a limit, because this is a hardware limit that we have in opening the connection. So I won't be waiting for eternity, right, if it's not going to respond to me. So that's why I have set some limit that, okay, after 30 seconds I'm going to close the connection if you are not going to respond to me. So this thing happens, right?
Okay.
This is called timeout connection. And I mean, this is again three things that one should know. WebSocket connection time is another thing, and read timeout is another thing, and connection timeout is another thing. That connection, if this server is not providing me connection, then I will disconnect. If I'm not able to read the data, if I'm not going to get the data for reading from this particular server till the 30 seconds, then I will close the connection, right? So
Okay.
if we are closing the connection, so anyone can close the connection, right? This server also and this server also, both can connect, right?
Okay.
Any one of them
Okay.
can disconnect the
Okay.
TCP connection. Now what
Okay.
happens? Database also has the same thing. Database
Okay.
also has the timeout time. So one thing
Okay.
is that if server open the connection and is not sending the query, then also I can close the connection after 20 seconds or 30 seconds, right?
Acha,
Another thing,
okay.
that if the query is taking a lot, and but the thing with this is that if you are going to close the connection within 20 seconds, right? And your query, I mean, let's suppose that your database is going to close the connection, database server is going to close the connection in 20
Okay.
seconds, right? And
Okay.
suppose your server sends the request within 1 second, right, of creating the query, right?
Yes, yes.
And when I'm saying 1 second, it's that when the database will say, okay, I'm ready to take data from you, then this will create some query, right? The Hibernate will convert the query into the SQL and then use the TCP connection and then try to send the data, right? And it will
Yes.
travel from India to some other place, so it's going to take one second or a little more than that second. So the network travel time, it's called the network travel time, because you are in
Okay.
India and you are trying to get the data and the server is in Singapore, then it's
Yeah.
going to travel from Singapore and come back, right? This is called
Yes.
travel time. So
Okay.
now what will happen, that this cost of sending data, let's suppose this is 1 second, right? So now how
Mm-hmm.
much time I have? Now I have 19 seconds, right?
19 seconds.
And 19 seconds I have to compute the data from the database and then send it also.
Mhm.
Now remember the thing, send it also, right?
Yeah.
So we now I have left with 19 seconds, and
Yeah.
in 20 seconds I will close the connection. And let's suppose our query is way too large to create. I need to
Yes.
join 3 to 4 tables, and then I need to search in where queries I have a lot of filters that I will put. So just to create the joins between 4 tables, it requires 40 seconds, right?
Yes.
then
Yes.
then we are not going to send the data back, right? Because in 20 seconds I'm
Yes.
going to close the connection, and after
Yeah.
receiving the query I have only 19 seconds, right? So
Yes.
that's why sometimes we are not able to use the joins, because it takes too much time to join the tables,
Acha.
especially if
Okay.
they are very large tables, right?
Okay.
And the other thing is, the thing that we are talking right now, the other thing will be that if, let's suppose, if my database 19 seconds are left, right? And then
Yeah.
let's suppose, then only 2 seconds are left, and cause 19 minus 17, cause 17 seconds, 17 seconds, 17 seconds required to get data,
Okay.
required to get data, right?
Yes.
To get data. So now if my query takes 17 seconds to get data and only 2 seconds left, right? In that 2 seconds, the network is going to get close, right? So in
Yes.
that 2 seconds, I need to transfer data back. I need to make sure that I transfer the data within 2 seconds, right?
Yes.
If the data is very less, I will be
Yes.
able to transfer it, right?
Yeah.
Easily. But if the data is way too large and it requires
Yeah.
10 to 20 seconds to get transported,
Yes.
then again my query will fail, right? Because the
Yes.
server will not process the data until it gets all the data. It's not
Yes.
like if I require 100 rows and 10 rows, 20 rows has been transported, then it's not going
Yeah.
to do that.
Yeah.
Internally, again, what happens, the computer does not know what is the string, right? Because a string in Java is different, a string in database is different, right?
Oh, yeah.
So a string in Java can take a lot of data, and a string in database we mentioned that, okay, please take 255 characters and XYZ, right? And default is also 255.
Yeah.
Okay, so one question for you: how much data can a string hold in Java? Okay, and it's not like infinity, because it will given you an error of a string too large. It will
Yes.
give you an error. That's why we need to read, if the file is too large, we need to read it from JSON file. Okay, and that's
Yeah.
why there are different buffers. Okay, we're not going to dive deep into that also. So the thing is, we just know that, okay, the string in database, string in the Java can take a lot of larger data size than in the database, right? Because the default is 255 in the database, right?
255, sir.
255 characters is the default. If you just write in the Postgres especially, or in
Yeah.
MySQL as well, if you just write the varchar, then the default value would be 255. 255 character is the default
Okay.
string length. We cannot give n string length, right? Because
Yeah.
again, we are not going to dive deep into that. What happens when we create a data, create a row in the database, whenever we define a schema, that
Okay.
particular space is not going to be filled. I mean,
Okay.
let's suppose, if in Java you take a character of, if you take an integer takes 4 bytes in Java, right?
Yeah.
But if you save only one in that string, right?
Yeah.
What in Java, a 4 byte integer can hold 214 crore 70 lakh something value, right?
Yes.
But if you save 214 crore, then also 4 byte will be consumed. If you save only one, then also 4 byte will be consumed, right? 4
Yes.
byte is occupied.
Yeah.
So the thing is, that's why if you fill any data into the database, or you do not fill the data into that particular column, that 255 character space will be reserved, because there
Reserved.
might be a chance in future you want to update that particular data.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you cannot give a infinity space, right, to this.
Yes.
Especially in RDMS, there is a anomaly. JSON B is a column where something different happens. Again, we are not going to dive deep into that, but
Yeah.
database will work in this way. And in JSON B also, it does not do anything new. It just like in the heap space, whenever a variable is pointing to the heap space, it does not check into the stack memory. It just goes directly into the heap area to find a particular object, right? So
Yeah.
that thing, it replicates into the database as well. Instead of leaving space for a particular data type, what it do, it just leave the space for the reference. And then
Okay.
whenever we try to access that particular thing, it goes to that reference of that object and it fetch it from there.
Okay.
If you are not able to get what I have just told you right now,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, yeah,
I'm able.
cool. I mean, there are how many types of memory is there in Java?
We have stack memory, heap
Nice,
memory, and
nice.
method area.
Cool. Live, not method area. So stack, okay.
Heap,
Stack, memory, heap, and let's say right now non-heap, right? Non-heap. Just take
non-heap.
three. Just take three. Then there is string constant pool, and there are other memories as well. But we are not going to take that. The basic categories are only three, right? Because
Yeah.
SCP and other type of memory are the specialized memory that are only there just to take care of a particular thing, right? Like SCP,
Okay.
string constant pool, is just for the string literals, which are
Yeah.
not created which are created without using the new keyword, right? So
Yeah.
basic, these three are there. Again,
Yeah.
when we are talking about stack, which variable in Java are stored in stack? How many types of variable in there in Java? Is there in Java?
Yeah. Local variables and global variables.
Okay, there is no term like global variable in Java. We use,
Class
come again?
class variables.
No, not even class variables.
Instance variables. Okay.
Nice. And static variables, instance variables, and local variables, right?
Global.
Three types
Yes.
of Java in this. I mean, if you have
Yeah.
learned Java, why you are saying this global and this thing? I mean, I've seen a lot of people using this term, but they are from PHP or either C or C
Yeah.
sharp. But okay, because what, see, whenever we are talking about some particular language, then
Yeah.
the language, which whatever language speaks the terminology, that terminology we should use, right? If the
Yeah.
language is saying that
And I.
instance variable is not instance variable not able to
Yeah.
get the instance variable or instance area, then we should
Yeah.
talk regarding that only. Static context area, if the language is saying giving an error of static context area, then if you talk in the same terminology, the first thing is that you will be able to communicate with the wider audience globally, and other thing
Yeah.
is that you will be able to understand and the articles that the people have written, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you will go to the online, and the documentation, the reading of documentation will also be helpful for you a lot. Because
Yeah.
I follow this thing, whatever the Java says, I just speak that particular thing. If Java is saying okay static context area, I will say static context area. So what will happen
Yeah.
if I go and try to read the Java documentation? It will be way too easy for me to understand things. Even when I go inside the Java documentation also, then also it is very easy to understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because see what happens if you don't do this, right? Then there you will find a lot of issues going on. Again, it's not okay. So see, we are inside. Okay, string manipulation is here, right? So let's just see string manipulation and the basic creation of string buffer. So
Yeah.
okay, what's an string? Do you know string?
Yeah. String is a class, and it will store the values like sentences, like what we can say Ratan and in double inverted
Okay,
commas.
cool. See, how is it able? What will be the output of this line?
Byte array. Okay. What is it? We
And
pass it byte
B3,
value reference
and
into
B3
the
is here, right?
string. Yeah. Uh, string.
Whether it will work, it will throw an error, but whatever it is,
It will throw an error.
it will print. You are not aware of SKI codes?
Which one, sir?
SKI codes.
No, no.
ओके ये क्या चल गया? वेट 7 सेकेंड.
What it is printed ID, it will print that
ए बी सी
index
डी.
related.
I have just written ABCD over here, right?
Yeah.
97 is the ASCII code. Okay, so I think
Yes.
okay,
Okay.
wait,
Okay.
wait,
Okay.
wait.
Yeah, I
I
got
think
it.
then you are aware of ASCII. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
are not aware of ASCII codes, see
Yeah, It
string
will. It will give
ASCII.
the alphabetic value. Yeah.
See 97, any image will do. Let's go and check any image. See, this is the table of
Yeah.
okay, cool. See, this is the thing, right? So see,
Yeah.
90
Yes.
97. It was written from 97, right? So
Yeah.
97 is
For
the
night.
small case A, right?
Yeah.
And if you plus
Yeah.
26, then you will get 122.
B.
At 122, you will get the Z, right? And if you
Yeah.
go to the 65, then it will the capital A, right?
Yes.
And you will go inside this, and it has 127, right?
Yes.
Do you okay? But I mean, how many types of uh, primitive data type is there in Java?
Sorry, sir.
How many types of primitive data type is there in Java?
We have integer, int, boolean, character, long. These are primitive data types.
Okay, that's it.
Float,
Okay, see again,
short.
when you are
Yeah.
giving answer, right? It's better if you give the answer in some order. For
Okay.
integers, we use byte, short, integer, and long.
Yes.
For
Yeah.
decimals, we use float and double.
Float and double.
For boolean, we use boolean.
Boolean.
And
Boolean.
for character, we use single
This can.
character annotation, right? Where char
Yeah.
is there, and a string is not a primitive data type in Java. A string is an object,
Yes.
right? So this is how you should answer, and you are randomly giving data. I mean, I'm not able to track what you have answered or not. Cool.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. No issues.
I will improve, sir.
Come again.
I will improve from next time.
Okay, I mean, I'm not saying that you should improve, but I mean, you can. It will be better for you
Yeah.
if you give some data in ordered format, right? But
Yes.
again, and now the data type. Okay, which I mean, what's the scope of integer? Let's talk about integers. So to hold the integers, we have byte, short, integer, and long.
Yeah.
This four data type we have primitive data type in Java we have. And at least, yeah, if you're if you're working, at least know how many types of data type is there in Java language. It is
Yeah.
most
Yeah.
mandatory thing. It's in the very first class first minutes item.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
okay, so for integers we have byte, short, integer, and long, right? So do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know about the range of these four?
Yeah. Integer is 4 bytes.
Yes. How many data we
Short.
can hold using 4 byte? Okay, cool. No
That
issues, no
exact
issues, no issues. You are
exact
not from
number.
CSIT. You. I think you are not. Are you? Can you get the range from the bytes that the character holds? Do you know the formula how to derive the size that a particular? I mean, if the database is of 1 byte, if the primitive data type is of 1 byte, not in
That
just Java.
calculations I have done long back, sir. Like we
Okay,
need
cool. You
to.
are aware of it, right? That it is
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
possible. I mean,
Yeah.
if some it's not like in Java only. If we are giving the 4 byte, if
Yeah.
some language in Java is taking 4 byte, then it can hold 2 crores, 214,
Yeah.
214 lakh and 214 crore 70 lakh something. But if
Yes.
PHP is also giving 4 byte to a particular variable and just to store the integer, then that particular variable or primitive data type in PHP also will be able to hold the same amount of value, right? Because
Yes.
the computation is same behind the scenes. It's not language dependent. Is of computer science. It's not of language dependent. Cool. So
Yes.
let's. I mean, is there any language that you know? Sorry, any primitive data type you know in integers? Do you know any range? Any range of
Uh,
integer only primitive data type of Java? Okay, if you're not aware, then no issues. I mean, you're not doing Java right now. See the range of
yeah.
this. It is starting from 0, right?
Yes.
And it is ending at 127. All right, it's 127 over here. Visible? My screen is visible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So from 0 to 127, do we have any data, primitive data type that can hold this much value, right? We have the byte. Byte is of
Yes.
8 bits, and 8 bits can hold a value till minus 128 to positive 127. So that's
Yes.
why That's why when send the byte, then these things
Yeah.
are converted into ASCII values, and the byte is able to handle it because it's from 0 to 127 only. The values
Yeah.
in there will be 0 to 127, right?
Yes.
Nice. Now, what is a string in Java? I mean, you will say
String
that
is it?
what is a string in Java? And I mean, a string is a character of array, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But what's the internal implementation of a string in Java? Is it a character of array of characters?
No.
What is it then? See, this is a character A, right?
Yes.
This is a char A, right? And
Yes.
we say that, okay, my bad. And over here, if I do string B equals to, okay, let's type Ashok. Okay, I cannot write Ashok, right? And this is Ashok, right?
Yes.
And then I need to double inverted comma plus string is double inverted comma, and then if I'll do character array, right? C,
Yes.
and inside that new char array, right? And inside that, if I'll say that A, and then S, and then H, and then O, and then K. If I'll say, okay, K is outside the bound.
Yeah, came out.
Okay. So these thing, right? These things are same, right? I mean, A is not same, but the this and this are same, right?
Yes.
So the internally is the Ashok is saved in this manner in the Java. See, there is no string primitive data type, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
anything in Java will be stored in 8 primitive data types only, right? Whenever,
Okay.
even if you are normal object also, if you could try to create a normal student object, a student will have an
Okay.
integer roll number, right? So it will have an integer data type. It will have a name, so string will be there, right? So, but the string is not a class. String is not a primitive data type. It is a object. So it
Object.
also need to require to use those 8 data. If you want to hold any data in the Java, then you need to hold the data in byte, short, int, long, float, double, character, or boolean. These are the
Okay.
only 8 data types that you can hold data inside the string. Oh, sorry, no, this Java.
Okay.
So this thing is not getting saved in this way, right? It is
Yes.
getting converted in some other form because this thing does not exist in Java.
Okay.
So what's the internal implementation of a string? What is a string internally? Is it this? Because character is in primitive type. Is this the string?
Yes. Yes.
No, it is this in byte. In a string, if you go inside the string and you try to find the value, the string is byte
Byte.
array, not character array.
Byte.
And
Yes.
why byte array? I have just shown you because the thing is, in character takes 2 byte, byte take 1 byte.
Okay.
So byte is more efficient. And the
Okay.
another thing is that from the ASCII values we have seen that the value of the ASCII values will be range the range of the ASCII value will be from 0 to 127, right? And
Yes.
byte is able to hold those values, and it is providing one less. It is taking one less byte also.
Okay.
Cool. Cool, no issues. Ay, yaar, we have again gone in these things. Shit.
No problem, sir. It's
Uh, okay, from next time I will just write down what I need to teach you because I otherwise our course will not going to get over. If we just go to these things, okay, cool. But why we were there? यार ओके अभी ये भी पूरा नहीं हुआ अभी तो ओके स्टैक हीप एंड ये व्हाई वी वर टॉकिंग अबाउट दिस आई मीन हाय
yeah.
okay from database and then stack heap okay 17 second okay cool okay let's leave this also I'm not even remembering right now why we were talking about these things so
The,
uh, let's leave that again it's going to take a lot of time again if we dive deep into that so the thing is when we get the data right okay now I remember because I was talking about how it saves the data right when JSONB and other columns are used
yes.
no issues not required for you right now so 17 seconds if it takes to compute the 17 seconds then the data if it's a lot huge data right Because
Yeah.
again, I'm not going to dive deep how the data transfers from network, right? So there should be a network width. I mean, it depends. Like there are roads, right? If you want to send 1,000 cars, right?
Yeah.
So if you have 1,000 cars and if you have single lane,
Yeah.
then it's going to take longer time, right?
Yes.
But if you have 8 lanes and you want to
Yeah.
send 1,000 cars, then it will take less time, right?
Last time. Yes.
So now your network connection, how much, uh, how many width? I mean the net. I mean your download speed will be your lanes, right? How much
Yeah.
how much faster you can consume the data. So
Yeah.
if the database server, and the first thing is that how much faster the car can drive, right? Two
Yes.
parameters is required, right? If all are F1 cars and you have 8 lanes, then the data transfer will be very fast. But
Yes.
if your server is not able to send data in a very fast manner, and your network is also very confined, so data is
Yeah.
not passing through very fast, then it's going to send the data. I mean the data transfer will take longer time, right?
Yes.
But let's say the data transfer for 1 kb requires 1 second, and
Yes.
after 17 seconds of fetching data, you have 10 kb. So 10 kb will require, we are just assuming the data, right? 10 kb is there, and we take 1 second for transferring 1 kb, and then 2 seconds are not enough, right? 10
Yes.
8 more seconds are required because 10 seconds required, but we will going to close the connection within the 2 seconds,
Yes.
and the server is not going to entertain that half data because it will wait until all the data is there at the server end. Because what's the server is receiving in network, no string, no nothing will access, right? It's only 0 and 1, because
Yes.
network and systems understand only binary. So the
Yeah.
data that we are sending from here will be going inside this in 0 1 format, right? So for
Yeah. Yeah.
only 2 seconds, for 2 kb of data, it will get from 0 1 0 1, which will not, I mean, it's not like from 10, we are sending 1,000 rows, then in 2 seconds, if let's suppose 20 rows are received over here, it won't be able to
Right.
deserialize those 20 rows, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is not possible, so it will throw an error. It's going to throw an error. So just to make sure, so the less the data, it will be better for us, right? It will be better for
Yes.
our query to not going to consumed by the by, I mean it will not going to be consumed by our the timeout, database time, connection timeout, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's why I was saying that if I'm going to send this much data, right,
Yeah.
and if I'm going to count that thing only, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, the internal implementation was also going to be easy, because from one it will just going to count the size of the
Yeah.
index rows that it has. I mean, because
Yeah.
primary key will every time will have a index, right?
Yeah.
So it will just go and check the size of index and it will return that,
Yeah.
and it will return only one thing like 6,
Yeah.
right? So passing this much data into the network and passing only this data into the network, which one will
Yeah.
be faster?
Second one, sir. Count.
Yes. And right now, what's happening? We have only 6 rows, right? But it is never that there are 6 rows, because in
Yeah. Yeah.
in Flipkart and all these websites, Amazon and Flipkart, 4 crore daily active users go every day.
Okay.
So they must be having 20 crore or 40 crore user profiles.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I want how many users and I try to fetch all the 40 crore profiles through the network, then it will be hell. It won't be possible. It's not possible.
Okay.
Before passing of all those data, my connection will die.
Yeah.
So this is why this is called aggregate functions. All right.
Okay.
So that's
Yeah.
why it is useful. I mean, it's not just over here we are using, and
Yeah.
we have gone through all this issue just to just to tell you that this X data is better than this. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. So let's see more things. So asterisk means give me everything that you have, and RDMS only have the rows and
Yeah.
columns, right? When you say everything, then it will provide you column rows. So
Yes.
asterisk, this means provide every row that you have in the product table. This
Yes.
means provide me the count of every row that you have in the
Yeah. Very low.
table.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So let's see. Now the thing is, we have seen that we want some XYZ data, right? Over here we
Yes.
are saying that give me everything, right? But
Yes.
it's not like we want everything every time, right?
Yeah.
So because the thing is, if you just want email ID, if you want to send the email to the user,
Yeah.
you don't require this thing, right? What's the phone number of the user?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't even require the state of the user. You
Yes.
don't even require the created date of the user. You don't require
Yes.
the, I mean, first name last name you can, because hi Naresh MK or hi Atul
Yeah.
Bhaskar. So those things can happen, but other things do not, right? Other things are not
Yes.
required. So
Yeah.
what we can do is that instead of asterisk means select public user, asterisk means that give me everything, right?
Everything. Yeah.
Instead of everything, you can just type down the username also. Give me the
First name,
first name, and email ID.
email ID.
Email, just these two things.
Specifically, we mention the column names
Yes. So now what's happening? Why we are doing this?
if
Again,
you want.
to preserve the network space,
Yeah.
right? Now we are
Yes.
not
Yes.
sending these data. It is not required. Why should I block my or clog my network, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it is better if you try to ask only those data that you require in your query. Other data if
Yes.
not required, then why you are clogging your network area, right? It's like
Yes. Yes.
sending more cars in your
Yes.
single lane network, single lane
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
So this thing is I can get this thing, right? But the thing is I get the over here I am saying that give me everything, every row that you have. Right now I'm saying that give me every row, right? This is also
Yes.
every row, but from every row, not every column. This is give me every row, every column
Every column.
from the
Yes.
public, right? Give me everything that you have in the user table.
Yeah.
This is everything. Give me everything you have in the user table. Give me only first name and email
First name and email.
from
Yes.
every row that you have in the user table, right?
Yes.
Now state is 1 2 3, right?
Yes.
Okay, let's take an example that 3, only one, only 3, let if the 3 is the state of the user which are active, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
So if I want the username, because if I want to send some discounted coupon, then
Yeah.
I would require the user, I mean I want to send the email to the user which are active, right? If someone has
Yes.
already deactivated my account, deactivated my Swiggy account, then
Okay.
it won't make sense to send the emails to them, right?
Yes.
So instead, and now but I know that I require only first name and email, right?
Yes.
These two things only I require, I know this.
First name and email from public dot users where
Yes.
state is equal to 3.
Cool. Okay. So now again what's happened? First thing is that now we are not sending the data. The one thing
Yeah.
that we could have done is
Yeah.
that because database is a single item, one thing we should know that database operates state. We should have done this also, right?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
we could have done this thing, and then we should have processed this data in our Java system, right? In our Java code
Yes.
we have written, we could have written that okay, if the state is
Yeah.
not equal 1, then continue, don't operate on
Yes.
that particular user, right? Don't send mail. We
Yes.
could have done also this thing also,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now you need to find out that, I mean, so what's the best thing that you can do between these two things, right? You need to find out
Yes.
which one can we use. But one thing we know that our server we can scale. When I
Yes.
say scale is that if there is a only microservice we create to make
Yeah.
sure that we can create multiple instances of it, right? In
Yes.
today's age, no single instance of a microservice works. You understand this terminology, right? Instance of single instance, multiple instance.
Yes. Yes.
Cool. So n- no one is using a single instance right now in a microservice environment. Microservices are created in such a way that it should be a scalable, and we can scale the machines to n numbers, right? It's not
Yeah.
like we can scale it to 10,000 or 1 lakh, and
Yeah.
it will give more things, right? The thing is
Yes.
one of the network blocks will get clocked. And
Yes.
what I mean by clocked, if your Java machines are 1 lakh but your database is single, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
If
Yeah.
your 1 lakh machines will give you a single query, then your database will have 1 lakh queries in 1 second.
Yeah.
And if we are running Tomcat is having, okay, cool, no, we can wait. Uh, uh, okay, we just focus on the database part.
Yes.
So
Yes.
what's happening over here is right now we just search this thing, and then okay, cool, yes. So what happens in our system is we have multiple instances of a server, but the
Yeah.
thing is database instance is only a single, right? To scale the
Okay.
database, it comes with again a lot of difficulties and a lot of constraint that one needs to follow.
Okay.
So that's why there are multiple things that we can make to make the database faster. So your request that you are creating should be
Yeah.
based on the less consumption of the database resources.
Okay.
And how you will know that okay, your query will consuming less database resource, right?
Yeah.
So between these two, which one is better, right? The first thing is, it's, I mean, for this kind of queries, it's almost all, I mean, every time it's better if you follow this type of query, right?
Yes.
because everyone will tell you that okay, follow this only, because you are not clogging the database and you are not taking extra time to process the data. Whatever computation database can do, you should have, you can let those computation done by the database. But this is a very simple query, right?
Yeah.
That's why this is acceptable, right? But if it's not like this, how will you check whether a query is taking more time or less time, right? So what
Yes.
company do? Company will give you, good companies will give you a range that your database query will not consume more than 30 milliseconds or 80 or 100 milliseconds, right? Because
Okay.
the thing is, everyone wants your system to be faster, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because data will require, I mean, what are the aspects that you can hold, I mean, you can work on?
Yeah.
When the server hits the, when the server will try to send the request to the, when the user will from the browser will try to hit the backend server, then
Yeah.
the time it's going to take to travel from your system to the backend server, you cannot work on that, right? It's
Yeah.
not on your hand as a backend developer. So
Yeah.
what's is in your hand? Your hand is in the computation time of the Java. You can write code in less time complexity. Again,
Yes.
the network call, the network travel time between the database, the server, the
And
backend
secure.
server to the backend database server. So that travel time also you cannot do anything about, right? But what you can do
Yes.
is the response time of the database and the size of the, and how can you do that? The processing time of the data query and the data size that you are sending, that you can
Yeah.
concise, right? Because if you
Yes.
want two data, then it will make our query faster, right? To just get the
Yeah.
two columns instead of every column,
Ye-
right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
these kind of things you do to optimize your database query, and it will consume less time. For
Okay.
as this is the very simple query, this is the very simple query, so you are going to work in this way, right? But the
Yes.
internals we should know how we judge based on this, right? If let's say your rows are way too large, right? You have 1 million, you have 2 billion or 5 billions of record.
Okay.
Now, just to make sure that your state is 3, it need to check, right? The linear scanning it will do to check
Yes.
whether the state is 3. So
Yeah.
linear
Yeah.
scanning won't work with in this case, because 3 billion records, if you want to linear scan, it's going to take almost minutes, 20-30 minutes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that
Okay.
won't make sense for you, right? So you need
Yes.
it to be faster. So the indexes are the things we will see it later on, how indexes will benefit us in these scenarios. But how
Okay.
we check whether it's a good or not, right? If we have
Yeah. Yeah.
these 6 rows, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's good that if you are going to write in this way, right? Because your Java code will be beautiful. I mean, it's not going to be a lot of lines to check, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
if this query is good and acceptable if your database is of less size. If your database is of 1 or 2 billion or 3 billion of records, then without
Yeah.
index this query is not acceptable, right? But how
Yes.
will we know that how much time it's taking, right? So
Yes.
let's first do run this query, run this
Okay.
query, right? And let's see, we are going to see explain analyze and then query, right? And I enter it.
Mm.
See, the planning time is 0.3389 millisecond and execution
Seconds.
time is 542, right?
Okay.
So, and how it's doing, how it's computing right now, it's filtering row by state equals to 3. What does it
Okay.
means? It means that it's going to one by one
One by one.
go
In
to every
the
row
state
and
column, it is checking
uh,
the whether the three number is there or not.
it is filtering data based on this filter, that state should be 3, and how many rows it's returned, it is returning based on this state filter, it is returning 2
Yeah.
rows,
Yeah.
right?
True.
And when I'll just do this thing, when I'll just do normal thing, see, computer timing, I mean, Postgres is not created to handle a small database, it is created to handle greater size database, right? So
Explain,
see,
analyze.
now when I do this, there is no filter, right, on the
Yes.
state. Now see the time, from
Mm.
3389 milliseconds it came down to 104 milliseconds, right?
104.
And
Yes.
from 542 milliseconds it came down to
50, 50
0.05
milliseconds.
milliseconds,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Okay.
So this query is better, right?
Yeah.
In
Yes.
terms of
Yes.
database, if your database server gets a lot of queries, right, then
Yes.
this one is better, this one
Okay.
to get all the data. Because
Yes.
to make your to scale your database, or especially the RDMS, is way too hard.
Yeah.
But to scale your Java, I mean, is to, I mean, to scale your microservices, it's way too easy, right? In
Yes.
whatever language you have written it. So
Yeah.
that's the difference, right? Now you understand in which way we
Yes.
can do, right? We should know how much query, how much time our query is taking, and based
Yes.
on the And even if we have the state as in something, if we have one three see, when we have the larger data size data set, right? So
Yeah.
right now, because the data set is very less, we can say okay, let's send the 6 data, right? We will filter it out on our own.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if we have 3 billion data, we cannot do that, right? Because
Yes.
if we try to send 3 billion data in network will be clogged.
Yes.
It won't be able to pass the data. 3 billion records, it won't be able to send. Because
Yes.
in 20 seconds only, it will close the connection, right?
Yes.
So that's why if we know the internals, how the things are working, then it's easy to for you to understand. If I don't made you understand how those things are working, then these things will be like, why this is happening? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Okay, something is happening. Okay, cool. I will Google it later on. Okay, cool. No issues. Then we have seen that how we can fetch the data and why we fetch the data and in which way we write the query. Because sometimes what I have seen that some when I do the code reviews, when I say okay this thing will not work, then they will say okay I have done in my previous firm also, and then there it was selected, and you nitpick everything. So these kind of allegations I mean sometimes people put forward, but the thing is again over there the data size should be your data size will be very less, right? 18,000
Yes.
records were there, so it was cool. But right now
Okay.
we are having 180 million, 18 crore,
Yes.
18,000 to 18 crore. So
Yeah.
there is a huge difference, right? Over there it was working, but you should know the internals. That's why I don't hire people who don't know database. Same thing.
Okay.
Again, I need to teach them everything, this thing, because they are like they go and complain to the senior management that I am working good, but he's the one who. I mean, my performance is low because he takes a lot of time in the code review. So those kind of things happen. Again, the junior people do a lot. People with uh, okay, let's make no comments. But cool, understand right? Why
Yeah. Yeah.
one query will work in one company and not in
Yeah.
other?
Yeah. Yeah. Got it. Got it.
Okay, cool. So this thing we have seen. So we have seen right now two things, that we can get all the data, but which is bad. So we can get the through the network layer. We should transfer very less data that we want, right? We can
Yes.
only get the data that we require, not like if we for data, if the rows, if 20 rows are there, if 20 columns are
Yeah.
there in a database, in a table, then we should not
Yeah.
get 20 tables, 20 rows. We should only get
Yeah.
the XYZ columns only, right? And this
Okay.
will happen with the Hibernate, because Hibernate will take everything. If you not write a tuple, we will see in later on in our Spring
Yes.
Boot classes, there is a concept called a tuple, right? In which you can get the data that you only want. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Hibernate will get entire row for you,
Okay.
right? So the and fetching entire row is bad. Then again, your senior needs to explain to you why this thing is bad. All right,
Yeah.
cool. So we
Yes.
have seen the where clause, right? So
Yeah.
when we write the asterisk, we want give us everything that you have on a table. When we write the particular column, then we are saying in the select area. See one
Yeah.
thing again. This from public, and then table name. Let's say users, then where, right?
Yes.
So and then after where ID, where state equals to
Is
3,
equal
right?
to 3. Yeah.
And we can do order by ID,
Total
right?
by
DESC.
yes.
Then we can do
Distribution.
limit 10. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how we are getting the data, right? So one
Yeah.
thing one must know, that select area are different. Okay.
Yeah.
Select column are different. It is processed differently, because this means that how much data I need to select, right? I'm saying that I need to
Yeah.
select everything. So
Yeah.
select area is different. Again, from public users is the same item, right? Then the where area is different. Where has the filters in it, right? How I
Yes.
want to filter out the data, how I want to
Yeah.
filter, how I don't want to, I don't want every row, I want to filter it out, right? So where
Yeah. Yeah.
area is different, right?
Yes.
Group by will also be there, so group by area will again be different, and then the order by will be different, right? Right now
Okay.
order sorted in reverse order, right? Because I have written that
Reverse
please order by it in
description.
descending, right?
Descending.
If I don't order by it, then what will happen? The
It
default
will
sorting order will be ascending.
4 places. Ascending.
Whether I write the sending, I can write order by sending as well, order by ASC, but it will just okay. Error at syntax ASC, ASCDESC. Oh, okay, my bad. Order by ID I have need to write, right? ASC,
Yeah.
right?
Ready.
So whether I write ASC, I write this order by ID ASC or not, it still return the data in the sending order. The default order of the returning of data is in
Yes.
ascending order, right?
Ascending one.
And which ascending order? we have multiple data, right? Is it
Yes,
based
yes.
on the created data ascending order?
No ID.
Yes, primary key, right?
Fine.
Because it's going to save the data in the primary key. Cool.
Okay.
We will see that in the index, it is taking data from the index and it is starting from the starting point. That's why it is taking some data from there, right? So it's like, okay, we are going to cover it in our index classes as well. So in this way, it is there in index, right? When you
Yeah.
say we don't provide the order, then it start reading from upwards, right?
Upwards,
If
yes.
we say descending, then it will start reading from downwards.
To downloads.
It is not going to go from over here to here and then try to limit out, okay, this and then come back. No, it's going to read from here and then limit out, okay, 3 I need to return, then okay, 1 2 3, cool, return this data. So that's how
Yeah.
it works internally. Cool.
Okay.
But only with the data that has the index.
Okay.
Okay, and over here the primary key will also have index, right? So the
Yeah.
default ordering order will be based on the index, and that too ascending order, right? Because it will start reading by ascending order, but it will start reading from the starting point of the index.
Mostly we will use order by to primary key only, or else we can use any
No,
other
no,
column.
no, no. Order by it depends entirely on your requirement,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
can do the order by email or first
Email.
name. First name order by first name is very common,
Yeah.
right? Because in school, what you
Yeah.
do in school, you order by name, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So this is how it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But the thing with the school is, your roll number is also ordered by your name, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then it will be the same. Whether you
Yes.
order by the name or order by the roll number, it will be the same because your
Yeah.
roll number depends on your naming order, right?
Yes.
But your email ID can be different, right?
Yeah.
Because Nikhila, okay, Nikhili, oh shit, her name is Nikhila. Cool. So the Nikhila can write the email ID as Killer Nikhila, right?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
or Coder Nikhila. So
Yeah.
the C will be the first name. So the email ID can be different, but the name and those things will be the same.
Yes.
All right. Admission date. Let's say the credit date is the admission date of the student. Then we
Yeah.
can order by the admission date. Then the order will be different. So it ordering is completely dependent on the your business logic.
Yes. Yes.
Right. Cool. I mean, but I was trying to tell that every section has a different area, right? Because when we
Yes.
are going to do the subquery,
Yeah.
then where there will be a select subquery, where subquery,
Okay.
and then group by subquery, then those subquery will be there, right? So
Yeah.
that's why every section are different. It is computed differently, and its work is also different. In select query, we are just selecting the columns that we require, right?
Yeah.
In where query, we are filtering out the number of rows that we don't want or we want,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
Where we don't want
Everyone.
the data
Yes.
we want, and in order, whatever the data we get from the where query, whatever the filtered data we get,
Yeah.
then over that filtered data I will provide the ordering, and the ordering
Yes.
logic we will provide over here, right?
Yes.
And the amount of data that I get, I will limit over here, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
then there is one thing more. Let's suppose instead of limit
Uh,
10, yeah, you are saying something.
yeah. Here limit means the total number of records that we want to display, right?
Okay, see, if I don't write the limit, right,
Yeah.
order by first name, then it will be ascending, right? Ascending order, it
Yes.
will give me the data.
Yeah.
And let's just for the sake of things, let me remove this whole thing, right? Then this is what the data is. We are getting the data, right, in ascending order. The default ascending,
Yeah.
default sorting order is
Yeah.
ascending order on the primary key.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, if I want to limit, I want only two data over here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Then what I'll do select star
Then
from
start
public
from public dot
users.
users.
Then I will limit 2,
Limit two.
that as soon as you get the two data, please return. So what does it
Okay.
mean? If it is searching data from index, it is the index, right? So it is starting from 1. So it's saying, okay, one data you got, two data you got, just return it, no further.
Yes. Yes.
So
Okay.
it will limit the time to read the data as well, and it will limit the data that I need
Oh.
to transfer in the network, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And
Okay.
what happen if I process two data right now, right? And
Yeah.
if I want next data to get processed, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now I want two data only, right? So the limit will be 2. Limit the number of rows. When I say the limit, then it means limit the number of rows. So it
Okay.
means limit the number of rows to 2. That's the full
Okay.
form of it, right? Limit the number of rows to 2. Select everything from the users that you have, but
Uh,
limit the rows to 2. This is the answer, right?
yes.
But what if
Yes.
I want the data after this 2, right? I want 2 data again,
Yes.
but after this 2. Then what
Okay.
can I do? This thing I require, right?
Yes.
But I will say offset 2. Then I get 3
Okay.
and 4, right? And then
Offset.
what's the
Okay.
offset is saying? It is saying, okay, I want two data from this table, right? Then you will
Yes.
start from reading 1 and 2, right? Over
Yes.
here you have read 2, and then you will say, okay, let me return. But no, you have written offset as well. Then it will say, okay, you have read 2 rows, then leave it.
Yes.
Now start again reading 2. Now 3 4 it has read, now it has written 3.
Yeah.
So offset means leaving that two particular rows that
Leave,
you are
yeah,
reading.
leaving that two and printing next,
Yes,
limiting
again
that two.
if I do this offset 4, then I get the remaining 5 and 6, right? 1 2 3 4 5
Last
6,
two.
right?
Yes. 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 Yes.
And this is the database query that we write when we write the pagination, and this type of
Yeah.
pagination is
Yeah.
called
Yeah. Yeah.
offset
Yes.
pagination,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the offset
Yeah.
pagination. If you
Yes.
google it, there are multiple types of pagination: seek pagination,
Yes.
offset pagination, hybrid pagination. So this is the offset pagination based on the offset that we have in the database. Cool. All right. Okay, okay. So okay, cool. So we have multiple sections in our database.
Yes.
Select section is different. From section is different.
Yes.
Because why I am saying from section is different? Because in the from section only, you will judge
Yeah.
from where you need to find data, right? Right now we are
Yes.
just fetching data from one table, right? If we want to
Yeah.
fetch data from two tables, I will update in the from column, right? From
Yes.
public users, right join on customers or whatever table it has, products or orders, and then I'll go and fetch the data. So those things will happen. And right now let's end the session today. Again,
Yeah.